Today is Tuesday, and it's supposed to rain. And I am sitting here thinking about God. Have you ever thought about God? I can tell you God has thought about you. God does not quit thinking. And it's amazing that, people do. I've watched a video this morning that somebody made for his Catholic friends. And it was very interesting. Adam talked to God. The devil talked to God. Moses talked to God. David, when he was out, taking care of his father's flocks, whatever he was taking care of, David talked to God. And God talked to Abraham. And Abraham heard God. And Abraham obeyed God. Jesus talked a lot about God. Never one time did Jesus say, I am God. No. I think the devil must have told somebody one day, I'm God. And he must have tricked somebody. Because the devil's not God either. He might have been a son of God. But he screwed up. He led a rebellion, so I heard. And he's still leading one today. Have you ever heard of a false prophet or a false teacher? They are led all right, but they're not led by God. They're led by another spirit. And that spirit works in sons of disobedience. Doesn't work in the obedient sons. Paul was given a message, and he was told to go to the Gentiles. Jesus gave a message to 70, and he told them where not to go. Jesus is not telling people where to go and where not to go anymore. Jesus has got a job to do, and he does it. He is waiting on orders. And one day his father will say, son, it's time to go. And when you go, you know what you are to do. When the Son of Man comes, will he find faith? The faith. There were some people that contended for the faith. And there is much opposition to it. There are not only Jezebels. I don't know what could be worse than a Jezebel, but there is something worse than one. I really don't think some of these leaders today are Jezebels, because a Jezebel has to be a female. And there's plenty of Jezebels. I deal with them. If you see any females, you deal with females. They may be a Jezebel or they may not. Anyway, Jesus talked to God, and Jesus talked to God often. And Jesus told you, when you pray, how to pray. Are you praying, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven? Or do you think that prayer is not to be prayed anymore? Most people today just want to die and go to heaven. Most people today are dying, all right, but they're going into the ground. There will be a resurrection day, and there will be a judgment. Now, there are those who die today, and they go to be with the Lord. Because Jesus said that he wanted them to be there with him. Jesus died to get there. You may die and get there. But you might be alive when Jesus returns. And some people think Jesus is coming to take some folks away. They ought to read the book and find out when he comes, he brings some with him. I mean, there was a man, his name was Daniel. The lions couldn't even eat him. He had 3 friends. The king got the fire hot, but they wouldn't burn. Are you going to prove to be God's or a disciple of Christ? Really? How are you going to be a disciple of Christ if you never do what Christ said for you to do? You won't be a disciple. There have been disciples been made today, but you won't find an apostle going to any town telling people, what you need to do is accept Jesus and ask him to come into your heart, and he will save you. If you can find that in the book, the history book that I got, I want you to show me what page it's on. I can tell you what Jesus said. And he talked about his Father. He said you could ask his Father, your Father, for something. He didn't say ask me for it. I don't know how many people today think they're going to ask Jesus for something, because Jesus has already said what he wanted to say, and he's not speaking anymore. But he did speak of the Spirit of truth, and that Spirit comes from God. And when you get it, you better obey it. You don't want to nullify it or put it down. You better want to please God. Jesus pleased God for 30 years. And when he got baptized by John, that's what God said. I am pleased with you. Jesus had 3 more years to please God, and he did. How much more time do you have to please God? I don't know. No man knows. I believe Cain was pleasing God until Abel killed him. Anyway, that's just what you can think about today, if you want to think about it. Thank you.